Today's Toy Spot, we're having a look at the Mattel DC Comics Multiverse Batman Arkham Origins Batman. Highly detailed and authentic. This is recommended for an adult collector. It doesn't look like Batman comes with any sort of accessories. One hand is open, doesn't come with a display stand, and doesn't come with any sort of accessories, which kind of really was my issue with a lot of the Multiverse figures. They're great, they're small, they're very posable, but they don't come with any sort of accessories, which is a real shame. Picture on the side there of the Arkham Origins Batman, a really nice picture of Batman there. And on the back of the package, that same picture is featured there. Real name Bruce Wayne, high-tech gear, cowl with detective vision, grapnel, sonic batarangs, remote electric, I was going to say electronic, but remote electric charge gun, and cryptographic sequencer. DC Comics Multiverse figures are inspired by comic-based, character-rich entertainment sources such as movies and video games. These figures are meticulously designed to be truly authentic, celebrating the many universes of entertaining DC Comics material. Other figures available are Black Mask, Harley Quinn, and the Joker. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the DC Comics Multiverse Batman. With more heading your way, guys, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. In hand, you get a pretty good, smaller scale version of Batman. He's not perfect, but for a smaller scale figure, he's pretty decent. One testament to the figure is that he's got a cloth cape versus a plastic sculpted cape, which larger figures tend to go with. Again, is he perfect? Not really. His face isn't so bad. He still, despite the fact that he has as small as a head as he does, his pupils are painted in. His face is painted well, although I kind of feel like the coloring of his flesh color might be a little too dark. And he's got pretty good details in his armor. His armor mostly is comprised of a dark gray and then areas of black to accent the inner unarmored pieces of his suit. There's not really a lot of color to say for Batman. I guess the only area that isn't this gray and this black is the utility belt, which seems to be more of a lighter gray in color. I guess the hard part with figures like this, as great as they may be, they're not really super articulate. Batman seems, I figured if anything, Batman was going to be a little more articulated than what he ended up being. Before we get to the articulation, though, there's some details on the back. Some details I feel like could have been painted in, especially like the areas of his gloves and his boots. Nice sculpt on them, yes, but really could have used some details just to kind of separate some of the plates from the other areas of his armor. Proportionately, he's not a bad figure. His arms don't feel so super short. His legs seem proportioned properly. But sadly, he doesn't have a lot of articulation. For your articulation on Batman, he does have a ball joint in the head, which is a nice sight to see. Shoulders are on a pin hinge socket, a little ball hinge socket, so they rotate out. This one's a little harder than this one over here. But the arms do rotate out. Very, very stiff, though. Forward and back. As for the arm, it's just on a hinge. There's no swivel. There's no swivel in the wrist either. It just hinges. That's all it does. It doesn't have a ball joint or crunch in the top torso. He just swivels at the waist. His legs, at least, are on a ball hinge joint. As you can see, they rotate out forward and back. He has a swivel at the thigh, a bend at the knee, but he doesn't have any hinge in the foot. His feet are sculpted awkward in that he stands straight, but I feel like you can't do a lot with it because he just doesn't have a hinge or anything in his foot. I don't think really many of the other figures have had hinges. Batman, I guess, with his armor being as it is, didn't want to put a hinge in there, but I guess that's the only The only disappointment to really this figure is, yes, it's a great sculpt to a figure, but he doesn't really have a lot of the bells and whistles. A display stand would have been nice. I feel slightly teased by that. His hand is open, but he doesn't come with an accessory. If you are truly looking for an Arkham Origins Batman, the best one I think is still by far the DC Collectibles version. You can find him, and the price is pretty good on him. Definitely would pick him up. For a trade-off, for a smaller version of Batman, he's a good figure. He doesn't have a lot of detail, a lot of articulation. I wish he had had more. But I guess overall, the pros outweigh the cons. This figure also really deserves, and this line really deserves vehicles too. Then we could give Batman a good vehicle for him to sit in. I like that his cape is also a fabric material as opposed to a sculpted plastic piece. If I could give a rating for the Arkham Origins Batman, I'm going to give him a 7.5. He does things well. Articulation could be a little bit better, but for a smaller figure, if you want a smaller, scaled down version of the Dark Knight, it's a pretty good figure. Today's Toy Spot, we were looking at the Mattel DC Comics Multiverse. We're having a look at the Arkham Origins Batman. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more videos heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. See you next time.